Hey everybody, this is Inara Ariane Griffin, and today we are doing the third masterclass, and it is called Manifesting as If by Magic. And today we're going to look at the conditions of manifestation. So now I'm going to let people in. And there is Mr.
Hello.
Monty Cox in the flowers. Hey,
In my garden of love.
I know, in the Garden of Love. Yeah, well, all my flowers have sort of departed and they'll be coming back soon. It's like spring.
Oh yeah, you guys are coming into spring.
We're coming into spring. All the buds are about this high, which is perfect for manifesting. I'm also, welcome, Linda. Welcome, welcome. Welcome, Linda. I'm just going to put my do not disturb on because phones can go straight through this. So let me do that. And do not disturb. Okay, on. Great. And I'm expecting, Alora went on and off, so I'm expecting her. But today we are talking about the third part of manifesting. And very excited because now we're getting down to the details rather than the abstract conversation of it. So I'm going to, let me just do this, a little bit of techie. I'm going to pin myself. There we go. As people are coming in. So how are you right now, Mr. Manifestation?
Great. I went. We spoke yesterday. I think I told her I was going to a bachata class last night, and it was super fun.
Oh, great.
Yeah, yeah. And I've had the morning off, so I've just been kind of like, doing all my things slowly. And yeah, no, but it was so much fun. I stayed for the advanced class and played that game too, and yeah, signed up for a full month. So yeah, it was
Fantastic.
brilliant. Yeah, I feel a lot of things shifting for me already.
Well, I think when you do something that you're not comfortable with, you're putting yourself into such a powerful manifesting zone. That's the whole thing. Hey, Nicole. Lovely to see you.
And
Hello.
surprisingly, I was way better than I thought I would be. I mean, I wasn't great. I mean, it was day one, but like I was picking it up way quicker than I would have thought. So that was kind
Yeah.
of awesome.
Well, you've got moves, I have no doubt.
Oh yeah. Yeah, yeah, just not under any kind of like structure before.
Structured moves. The art of learning to dance. Yeah, I know it can be quite stressful, but honestly, I think as well, once you get into the flow and you stop worrying about how you look, it's just amazing.
Well, I think once you learn the moves, then like the technical just go, you don't have to play that game anymore. Because then when
Yeah,
we went into advanced, they were doing all kinds of stuff where I was like, oh, okay, there's a lot more going on here than, because also like at the beginning it feels very boring. It's like, like a little bit shuffle to the side, forward, backward, a little square, like that wasn't very fun,
yeah,
but then when we went to advanced, there's all kinds of stuff going on. It was super fun.
absolutely. And it's the foundations that really help you. And speaking of foundations, and hello, Laura as well. This is today is really setting us up for the foundations of manifesting. We've talked about many aspects of it so far. And today is the dark of the moon. So I specifically wanted this masterclass to take place on the dark of the moon the day before. Well, there's a few things happening. One is that tomorrow it goes sun into Aquarius. We have got the new moon on Saturday, new moon in Aquarius as well. So we've suddenly got Aquarian. I'm so Aquarian. I'm wearing the colors of Aquarius as well. And then we've got the Chinese New Year taking place on Sunday. And this is, I believe it's actually Alora's actual
It is.
animal, the water bunny.
Yeah, the rabbit. You were the rabbit. Yeah.
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 And it's very favorable for a lot of things, like across the board. Some years are very difficult for certain animals and some are not, but this one is particularly favorable for all of them. And it's got healing of deep old wounds, truces. So when you think about the number of wars that are all over the place, truce is coming in. This is a year of that. We've also got multiplication, like rapid multiplying, because that's what rabbits do. So it's very favorable financially from many, many signs. You'll feel the flow of money coming in. I had a funny dream last night, and I was in a kind of stately home where there was a guy who was this being, this master, if you like, of manifesting. And he was giving advice to anybody on what do you want to manifest. And so throughout the party, the event, because they were in all different rooms, several times I met this younger man. And by the end of it, we said goodbye, but I knew that this was my man. You know, we said goodbye from the party, but this was going to be the man that I fall in love with. And it was just clear. And he was much younger. And it was like really clear because the older I get, the younger they get. So kind of interesting that. But then I asked the question to the manifester man, how do you manifest money? And he said, you hum this tune. It was very floaty, slightly waltzy kind of tune. So he did this, and I got the hit of, it's when you're enjoying yourself. It's when I love music so much. So I listen to music. It's got nothing to do with the price of things. It's got to do with the feeling of things. And then I said to the MC, thank you so much. And what do I owe for this answering of this question? And they said £2. So it was like, and even finding the frequency of money didn't cost anything. It was like really cheap to find the flow. And I thought it was a great message because we're looking at manifesting, and a lot of people ask about manifesting money. And it's not about the money, it's about the experience of life and the experience of you fully expressing yourself, which is the condition of manifesting that will manifest. So today I want to go a little bit into the technicalities, especially on this dark moon, of it's like this. If you are saying in your life all the time, I can't afford it. Oh, gotta hold it in. No, can't, not going for that. I'll go for the lesser one. There's all these conversations, and people are saying continuously, I can't afford it. No, I'm, holding off. The money's not flowing in, whatever. That level of unconsciousness in terms of the conditions of manifesting money, can you imagine? Maybe you want to say something about that. Any of you who are here?
Well, I just did that.
Yeah.
And I'm like, as I'm listening to it, I'm feeling into it because, I started at the, the dance school yesterday, right? And it's 3,000 pesos for the month, right? But the guy running it's like, people that when they start with a couple of private lessons, it really takes them so much farther. And private lesson is 1,500. So that's like half of what I'm paying for a month. And I was like, I don't know about all that. And then somebody else, like that is a friend that found out, she reached out, she's like, oh, if you want to do private lessons, that really speeds it up. And I'm like, well, like, what do you charge? I'm interested because I had just stopped promoting. Like I didn't sell out all my pods, and I stopped because it wasn't working for me internally. And like where I'm at, I was like, what I said was, because what I feel like I'm doing is, so I just kind of want to run it by and see if there's a energetic hit, like is just choosing where my money is going. And I'm still, massage, I'm still chairs on the beach, I'm still eating well, a couple meals out, you know what I mean? I'm feeling abundant, and I'm just not sure that's where I want my money to go.
Okay,
like
great.
Until they're in it, but I did say because the flow is where it's at right now, and I'm anticipating more. So who knows?
Okay. Right. So I'm going to gather in this information from all of you before I respond to it, because I want you to not hear my response first, to just Okay, Nicole, go. See a little hand there. Go for it.
So I've been really focusing on the feeling after our last couple of calls as well. And I had 4 people randomly either referral or they just reached out to me that within 2 weeks all became new clients. And all of them are not paying like my full like what I would, charge for like a full year, but it was like finding a way to work with them. And I found that like that's also been a lot of my journey too, is like if I genuinely at one point or time like haven't been able to pay like the pay in full or like have to do payment plans or all the things, that I've had very generous coaches and mentors that have helped me with that as well, as far as like getting in the room. So yeah, in playing with this more, I had 4 people show up and literally paying what like is a stretch for them, but is what they can do to get. And I adjusted like how much time I'm spending with them versus like, the full year and like the full thing. But yeah, I had 4 new people and I'm down in Playa del Carmen. One of them was like for a VIP day. And she's like, I'm going to pay for your Airbnb and for your flight back to Vegas, in trade basically. So it's stuff like that where it's like, she's not paying me directly, but like she's paying me well over what I would have charged her for the day and like for the room and my flight. And I don't know. It's just like crazy because I'm like, I didn't do anything. Like I literally was just playing with like the energy and like the feeling of it. So I thought that was really powerful for me. So I hope that helps with others too.
Totally powerful. And I'm delighted for you. That's so great. So let's hear, what about Alora? That little conversation of I can't afford it, or that energy, what does that bring up for you?
Yeah, I mean, it's an interesting one. The last couple of years, I've really tried not, I've been practicing because I have one friend and I think it turns out, I think she had thousands, in the bank, and now she's got this pretty huge inheritance. And we were out one day and it was freezing cold and we were waiting to get into a restaurant. And then she goes, well, why don't we just go in and get a glass of wine, while we wait for the restaurant? And I was like, me and the other friend were like, yeah, let's do it. That's great. And then the friend who suggested it has all this money was like, oh, no. I can't afford it. I really can't. No, I shouldn't. I mean, what, $10 for a glass of wine? And anyway, and when people say, oh, I can't afford that, and I know that people have money, I've gone to a place of going, it's not what I choose to spend my money on right now, rather than I don't have any money. And I'm in this place right now of going, I don't have any money. I'm nearly $1,000 in the red at the bank. And fortunately, I've got this overdraft and there's money coming in. But I was talking to a friend about it, who's also in that place of money is really tight. And she goes, I don't want to be like this when money is tight, like depressed and whatever. And I was saying, well, when money is tight and you can't pay your mortgage or your rent, it affects your base level, like your security of keeping a roof over your head. So anyway, I'm really trying to practice abundance. And it's kind of ironic. The friend who's like, I have no money, I can't buy a glass of wine, just gave me that Abraham Hicks book on manifesting. So,
Okay.
yeah. But anyway.
And you might want to read it too.
Yeah, that's a long story, but yeah.
Yeah. So interesting to pick up everything that you're all saying. And what the classic situation is that I can't afford it, we're told in manifestation. If you think about it, in the conditions of manifesting, the ultimate experience of manifestation is womb space. So in a dark place where there is nothing, something happens. We know what happens, right? Do you know what happens? And in this dark, Monty doesn't know what happens, but in this dark womb space, this is a classic example of manifestation at the highest level. There are the conditions that are already right. In that case, life force can be in there. It's a perfect home for it. It's got all the wet and juicy moisture of, you know, humanness going on. And then it's a passionate moment. There's passion involved. When you think of the highest level of sexuality, heterosexuality in this case, because we're talking about just producing life, but the highest level of it is pure pleasure, pure divine excitement. Can't keep your hands off each other. The ultimate lovemaking experience. And then voila, the timing is perfect. And boom, into nothing comes a spark of life. Now we're replicating the same kind of energetic, if you like, with manifesting anything. We've been given the greatest example of that because people know that passion is part of it. Passion is this, it's this energy which, when we are passionate, when we're turned on by life itself, not even just sexually, when we're turned on, everything is vibrating with life force. We feel excited about life. There's a kind of curiosity that goes on, and curiosity leads to opportunities always. So when you think of a life of boredom and dullness, and let's give you another example, like settling in a relationship, for instance, when they settled, and you know that there ain't no passion going on, there's nothing except there was a sellout. There was a sellout at some level. They both sold out on their passion to come up with that condition. So when we're looking at conditions, that passion is one of the key ingredients in manifesting. And passion is something which, when I think about my own life, and I'm sure you will reflect on your own life, passion is rare. It's not continuous. There are these outstanding moments in life which I literally can go back and remember almost tangibly. It's got a quality to it. And I'm not just talking about sexuality, although I am too. It's all of it, right? There's this tangible je ne sais quoi happening in the air, the frisson. And when I reflect back to the memories of those passionate moments, they have been the directors of my life. I go this way or that way according to the passion that I'm experiencing at certain times, because it takes me over. It feels like a hit of something. And when we realize that passion is part of it, into the dull, settled life, or the corporate life, which, you know, somebody is, say, sold out on happiness for a paycheck, right? That's a very common experience of people I speak to who become clients, actually, very, very common. And when I say, what do you feel when you're in that zone? They feel numb. In order to experience a life of dullness, the body shuts down. There's a kind of shutting down, and it's almost the opposite of passion. So we know there's an ingredient here that is vital, and it's not about the money, and it's not about the like the literal circumstances of your life. It's not about that. It's about one ingredient that we know is passion, and that for all of us, that's a different experience, right? We all have different experiences of what passion is, but it's a key moment in the conditions. Another aspect of it is when you are into the beating yourself up mode of like, oh my God, I don't want to say I can't afford it, but I kind of want to say it in a different way, which means the same thing in a positive way, which would be like, I'm not flowing my money that way right now. You know, it can sound better. It can sound like you've handled something, but again, it's there's a numbness to it. It will be something that you're trying to avoid, an avoidant technique of just saying, oh, I know I'm not allowed to say I can't afford it anymore because I'm trying to create these conditions for manifesting. So with both of them, both angles of this, one is passion at one end, and the other is the circumstances that you know are your old operating system inhabiting every pore of your body, right? It's in there. And you typically, when you feel like I can't afford it, there's a clench. It's like the great clench within, a twinge, a physical reaction to that. You will pick it up, like when you become really attuned to the body and to the layers of energetics, it's a clenching mode. And the clenching mode is all around survival. It's got the theme, top theme is fear, slightly under heading is survival. I'm surviving this moment. I'm surviving this thing. I just realized I said the thing I'm not supposed to say, which is I can't afford it. I've just said it. I'm going to survive it. Level under that is I'm calculating and strategizing my way forward by saying the things that are carefully, they're still as messed up actually as the previous, right? Blinding fear is just blinding fear. Bit like that. Survival is one step on the way of starting to calculate it. But when you really get into how deeply you are calculating every single moment to survive, every single moment to know that you're not supposed to say that thing because that will, bring in the Abraham Hicks experience. Don't say the thing that's really obvious. And even when you say a slightly more positive thing, there's a clench. There's this, oof, I'm really dealing with something. So the first thing you do is you want to breathe all of that in. And I was talking to Monty about this the other day, about experiencing, rather than compartmentalizing it, you want to feel it. You want to feel it in an extreme way, actually. So, I mean, like locating where is it sitting in your body, this clench, this constriction, and then expanding the constriction. And we're going to do that actually physically later on. We're going to do it. But I'm telling you intellectually now, so we can go through the mind so you get it. There is no way out of fear except to breathe it in. There's no way out. It's like you can be a bit more tailored around it and try and sound like you're handling it. But the reality is it's just blinding fear of scarcity. In this topic that we're talking about, it will never come to me. So in my case, relationship, which, yes, I've had another dream. Every psychic who's ever spoken to me says that I'm going to be with the most amazing person. The evidence, however, does not show that. That's a trip because I don't have it with money. I don't have it with business. I don't have it with home. I don't have it with other things, right? But with that one, I know that there was something that happened in a flow of moving forward that caused fear. And the fear now I've now embraced the fear. The full fear was embraced many years ago. But what I've switched it to is, rather than trying to get away from that, I talk about it, I open up about it, I share it with people so that I'm not handling it on my own. That's the kind of thing which is that, I'm so numb, we're not going to talk about it. I'm going to try and say it in a different way. But really, 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 there is no evidence that, I could die single, right? And so what happens with that, there's a numbing. When you face your fear, whatever it is, you face your fear. And I don't feel like gripped by it right now, but I have had moments where I really have. I've just been like, oh my God, I never meet anyone who fits any level of what I want to be with. Does that mean I'm going to die alone? I've gone that far with it. And then I've gone to other levels of it, which are, actually, I love my life. It's all great. And I've dated certain people and they're still not it. And I'm like, oh, okay, well, that didn't work either. They're all layers of the same thing, of fear. So when you think about the thing that you're trying to handle very well, the first stage of mastery with it is to inhale it into every pore of your body, not just where it sits, because you want to know where it sits. Usually I have a sort of, it feels like I'm slightly suffocating or something with the fear. If I go into my fear, it'll be up here somewhere, and sometimes it's lower and goes into my solar plexus and heart. But mostly I can feel there's a location to it. It affects me physically in some way. And I'm sure if, speaking of Alora, like you've just been dealing with, you thought the roof was leaking, you thought there were all these other things. Well, if you compound that, you would be able to experience where that is located in your body. And most of the time we focus on trying not to think about it, trying not to, do anything with it. First excellent condition of manifesting is to breathe it all in, like take it on, like, hey, I'm going to have 3 days of the roof is pouring in. I have no money. The rental people have gone. I haven't got enough clients, all of it. And it's like permission to go to the furthest extreme. And I would even go further than what you think, even where you stop at the edge of that. So in my case, a few years back, it was like, oh my God, like I'm going to be on my own. Like that's it. There is nobody for me. But I could go further with that. I could be alone, dying with nobody with me and nobody cares. So let's go that far. And no man ever touches me again. The drama. Well, if you can get into that mode of that, there will be a point when it stops, right? So if you ride the wave of that condition, which is the condition of trying to suppress these things and put them all in little compartments and not feel it, if you open it up, what you're actually doing is expressing at the deepest, most powerful level, and expression starts realigning with passion. Full expression is passion. And so somewhere along that journey of making it worse, of thinking about it in a worse way, going even further and further into it, and you can give yourself permission, like it's going to be, I'm going to do an hour of this, or I'm going to do 15 minutes of this. I'm going to meditate on the worst case scenario. What you start to do with it is you stop being numb. You get away from all the numbness that we have in our society, and we start to alter the condition back to passion, which is the condition of the perfect condition of manifestation. So for those that we were talking about the lack of, that's the first thing which is to do on your to-do list. When you feel a lack or an upset or whatever, locate it immediately as fear. Breathe it in, take as much of it in, and then exaggerate it. So when I've worked with, probably not you guys particularly, but I have worked with clients privately, and I've said, okay, let's do it. Let's go there. And I know one example was somebody was talking about, well, they thought they would be homeless and derelict on the street. And I said, let's go further than that. So it's like, okay, you smell, you're incontinent, you live under a bridge. Nobody cares about you. Let's go there. Like really, because they hold it back at this level of, I'm going to be a bag lady. Let's bring on the bag lady. You've got feral foxes walking around you at night, sniffing you. There's some other old bums under the bridge with you. Whatever you need to do. Key is to go further than you would normally go with it, right? Because the minute that you reach your limit of your fear, because you don't want to go any further with it, that causes even more fear. So you want to go even further than you've ever gone with your fear, and it will start to alter into full self-expression. And that aligns with passion. So that's the lack bit. What Nicole was talking about was this frequency flow that's happening with her, which I've even noticed because I've worked with you for a long time. The alteration in the way that you're expressing yourself is really different. And it started to happen. You went to Paris, You aligned yourself with somebody who was already going to Paris, who is another coach, who you like her work. And rather than coming out of what was a bit of a difficult time with your own business, what you did was align with somebody who was already in a flow with their business. You attached yourself, so you were teaching a part of her program. So you had a support. You felt a little bit like you could lean into something. So lessening of the fear is happening there. But then you suddenly got very excited about the wild femme path and the retreat that you were going to do. And all of a sudden your communication started to alter. It was like, rather than being this suppressed thing, when we laughed about you being a money coach at one point, ha 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 ha, ha. Like let's have a good laugh, because you were holding on to that piece to try and get clients, but actually you had to get rid of that piece to be able to go on the wild femme route. All of a sudden your energy really changed, and when you were doing the photo shoots in Paris, you have a completely different energetic around you. No wonder that people are starting to flow into your world. No wonder. I mean, I really noticed the difference in the way that you're expressing yourself. And really what you wanted was money, but really we can never ask for money, and just unless it's like, hey, Monty, give me $10. It's like, we can't really ask for money in the scheme of things, because we've got to be aligned with what's our full expression. And that's the key. The numbing piece, which is all over our world, numb out the wars, numb out the politics, numb it out, just numb, 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 numb. The other side of it is full expression. Lean in, express, be yourself, your wild, wonderful femme self. And look how suddenly, clients start showing up. And this is only the beginning. It really is only the beginning. It's just the little ingredients that you're starting to see when you are expressing at full power. And that's something that we're going to do today. We're going to allow ourselves to express at full power. We're also going to come up with some non-negotiables this year, because the wavering of a non-negotiable, this energetic, it's like trying to tune into a radio station, but it's all like that, the fuzz going on all the time, and you're turning the dial back and forth and back and forth. That is what it's like being with your vagueness. Clarity is the key point also for conditions of manifestation. So clarity, if you're somewhere between, like offering, like Alora was saying, like Nicole was saying, that you've got clients that you're offering them a bit of that and a bit of this to just keep the flow going. It's okay to a certain point, but there's a moment when your self-worth has got to match the frequency of deservability and full self-expression. So one is, I deserve because everybody deserves, right? But most of us don't feel that. We feel less than. We're dealing with issues of self-worth. So the self-worth piece in this is like ring fencing certain areas where you are an absolute no to. Absolute no. The no becomes the foundation of the explosion of the yes and the expression of full expression, which starts to change the frequency to attraction. People will be attracted to full expression. So, if you think in your mind's eye right now, what are the no's that you would like to bring in to 2023? What are the things that that you've wavered? Your clients will feel that. You get that, Nicole? They'll all feel that, because it's still attached to a scarcity mentality. This is not a make wrong, by the way, but there's a thread of it that's attached to a scarcity mentality when you're that wavery with things. And the key is to get out of the pressure of the time, which is also a scarcity mentality, time frequencies, like it's got to happen now. It's got to happen now. As I've said to you before, anybody who's selling to you in that very hyper American way that it's like, you've got 15 minutes to make a decision, come back to me now. And it's, you know, and how's it going? Well, how's it go? Oh, you're selling your house and you're on the street. That's okay. That's okay. Just get over that. 15 minutes, we'll have this covered, and you, right? Like that. There's, with that energy is also scarcity. It's fueled by fear. It fuels fear. And if we were given the Louis Armstrong song, "You got all the time in the world, da 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 da," and you really feel that, like, oh, I've got all the time in the world to find the man that's perfect for me, to bring in these clients bit by bit, to change my pricing structures. If you are able to actually add the piece of time, which is part of the conditions, and use it like cycles instead of this urgency, that's also going to alter your frequency and the conditions of manifesting. So Alora, you've got your hand up, so please pop in and have a conversation with me.
Well, one thing what came up for me was, you know, I'm so over offering free stuff, you know, and I think I've mentioned before, you know, I have one client and it's always like, oh, you know, I have to drop out of your classes because I don't have money. And then I go, okay, well, you can come for another month for free, you know, and then, you know, she sort of drops in, oh, we just went to the nursery and we bought some plants. And then she shows a stack of books that she's just bought, and she just got a new haircut, you know, a haircut. And I'm like, Jesus fucking Christ. Like, and then, but it's, you know, my fault, my responsibility, you know, because I've offered this for free. And then Sally Shakti and I have been talking about, oh, should we just you know, she said, let's offer some free spaces on this workshop. And I'm like, I'm so over offering stuff for free. But it's, you know, her opinion of, you know, also getting people in, like the bums on seats and tasters. Yeah.
Well,
yeah.
So you're working with somebody else. So that's different than if you're doing it yourself, for sure. So there's a bit of a negotiation there, but it could be that you agree on, there can be one free space on anything, one free space, or I'm doing this piece of work for free. So I'm really clear when I'm doing this, for instance, this is for free. I don't feel 1 ounce of, oh my God, I wish they were all paying something or other right now today. Nothing, because I'm so clear in what I'm doing today is free. It's about, yoo-hoo, let's have a free day. And because I can talk till the cows go home, so it really suits me on some level. This is my passion. I love this. If, you know, I had somebody contact me and I took it down as this beautiful little testimonial. It wasn't meant to be, but she said, I watch everything you do. I have no idea. I never see her, right? This is my experience of it. I never ever see her. And she was at a wedding and she said, on her wedding day, I want to thank you so much because I've followed exactly what you said about manifesting and you know, various different things that I must have talked about 2 to 3 years ago. She said, I altered the way I did it. I took it like a recipe. I met this incredible guy and I am getting married in Norway. And we are the happiest we've ever been. And that's down to you. And I was like, what? You know, this experience of like, but I've never seen you. It's like, and that was kind of like my experience. It was amazing. And very moving because she was speaking like, I don't teach relationship coaching. I'm not somebody who's, you know, specifically setting up on that level, but I am freeing you up to be able to manifest the life that you want. Now that occurs because there's always a little bit of free me going around. And it's because it's aligned with passion. If it's not aligned with passion, stop doing it. That's the key. And if you are working on something and you think, I do actually want to do, I want to help, it's part of your way of being, that you want to help certain people with less money, come along on the ride, be super clear, there's 1 spot or 3 spots and that's it. And if the 4th comes along and you've said 3, do not change. That's the difference. It's like we start to write these agreements in stone, our own earth that we're creating. And what it's to do with is self-worth, right? Because I cry at animal commercials and I look at orphanages. There was somebody who recently just sent me something, can you help? And I'm like, oh my God, of course, somehow I will, right? But it's just another stretch. That is the fabric of the way that I operate in the world. But I need some boundaries around my business, right? Because I am a big love ball when it comes to all of the animal crises and all of that stuff. When it comes to business, I've got to put in something that really feels like, hey, you know, self-worth. So what are the no's that you are not gonna cross, you know, you're just going to cross off and not do this anymore? It's like there's got to be a decision, and this is a great time at the beginning of the year to go 2023, for whatever reason, doesn't matter, is going to be the year that I say no to a few key things to pull in my self-worth. This is that energy that we're working on. When you can say no fully, there's also an instant response of full expression, which again is in passion, which again is frequency of manifesting. So how does that feel to you, Alora? How do you feel in your body when you're like, if I gave you that example, there's 3 people you've let on and the 4th comes.
Yeah, I like that. I mean, I have got to that place with Sally Shakti of going, yeah, I can see why it's good to invite a couple of people for free. They get to experience what we do, and then they might sign up for the 6-week. But yeah, but to have that boundary of like, okay, 3 people and not the 4th. And then with my writers, you know, the ones who are like, oh, I have no money, and then they're going out buying all these other things, to be like, this is the last free class.
Could you say something as well? Because that numbing lack of self-expression is, you observe it, you'll tell us, but you won't tell them. But what about actually saying a different kind of no? And the no is, I'm not going to watch somebody, you know, have a hairstyle and do this and that and not challenge them on a certain level. And I mean, you don't like confrontation, but when you do go there, because I know you well, when those people made all the noise in that hotel we were at, you were like fierce, straight in, shut up, you know, you have that in you. So it's the kind of thing where if you're observing that your clients themselves are riding on the freebies and they're actually, then you see them, you know, buying different stuff, that would be a straight conversation. When somebody said, I haven't got any money, what would you say to that if they've just said, well, you've got a great haircut?
Yeah, exactly. Well, it's funny, before you said that, I was thinking, I actually do want to have a conversation with her about when she says, I really want to do your classes and I really miss them and I really miss everyone in the class, but I don't have any money, to say, well, yeah. However, you know, you had money to buy some new books and your haircut and go to the nursery. So what's your priority?
Yeah.
It's yeah.
And your self-worth right there is like exploding with self-expression, right? Because it's the thing that you dare not say and you're daring to say it. And it's like, this could be the year that you go no to those kind of people who are giving you that kind of runaround, and you already work out the response as early as now.
Yeah.
Like, when this happens, I'm going to do X, Y, and Z. I'm going to say it straight. No drama. Just, I want to just point something out to you that, you know, in my observation, you've gone out and got a haircut. You've got some books. I saw you at the restaurant the other day. So it's not true that you have no money, is it?
Yeah.
You know, like that. You don't have to be, you know, so much of the time is spent wanting to be liked, which is a killer of manifestation. A killer. It's like, it kills it off because you're so, you know, fuzzy wuzzy. But if you could get to the point where powerfully you just say, it's not true, is it? It's just not true, is it? In the lightest way. And make that, like, you've already decided that very early on in the year, that if that comes up, that's going to be your response.
Yeah. Brilliant. Yeah, I definitely will. I will.
I think, Monty, you had your hand up.
Oh yeah, I did want to ask a question. Because like, because I've done go to the dark place. Like, I've dealt with a lot of that. Like, when I made this decision, I made a decision knowing, you know, like what I'm already doing for summer. I've already been buying my flights and stuff, and I'm in, you know what I mean? And I know what's coming in per month. And like, I'm not exactly sure what the next thing is or when it's going to start popping off, or, you know what I mean? And like, I'm keeping myself in a place where I do feel abundant, you know, like the things that I really want to do, I'm doing, you know, like I don't really want to take private lessons. Now I would, if I had a lot of flow, I'd be like, yeah, let's try a couple, you know what I mean? But it's lower on my priority list. So it's like I could afford it. I just don't want to afford it. Like, I don't want to allocate what I do have to it, because the other things I'm doing and like are making me feel abundant. So like, what's the, you know,
It's the clarity. It's the clarity and it's the no in there. So there are tons of things, like, you know, that I want all the time, particularly in clothes, right?
Yes. That's
There is
endless.
not a day, if I went past a shopping area in London, in the boutique area, I would find something every day of my life if I wanted to be like that, right?
Yep.
But there's also a sufficiency, or it's sufficient. I've got enough to play with to be fashionable and do different things with the videos and look different enough that isn't where I'm going this year. Clothes are not on the list, but if clothes are on the list next year, then you define it like, hey, this is the year of clothes. And it's that level of clarity. So this is the year of dance. You've already taken on the dance. So that's abundant expression. And you could say, in 6 months, I might consider doing the privates. But right now, that's absolutely full expression and it's no scarcity. I'm just a beginner. I'm going to do this. And they can talk to you all the time. But right now, that's a no.
Yeah. Okay, cool. So, because I was like, I just wanted to check in on like what I was doing, because I don't want, because I mean, if I had tons of money, I probably would do it, just shits and giggles. But, you know, I'm feeling very sufficient. I'm feeling very abundant, and like, you know, and I'm putting my money where it feels great, you know, like, and this is my first investment in dance. Like, I don't need to like, I'm not ready to like jump into like privates all of a sudden.
Well,
You know?
exactly. And that can be that addictive, like we want all of it all the time. You've got time to go through all the early stages of the dance, then get some training, you know, specific training privates. You've got time. And again, that piece was scarcity because you hadn't factored in that you've got all the time in the world. I've got all the time in the world to go shopping. You've got all the time in the world to dance.
Well, that's what I feel. I do feel that, because in the next 5 months, going, you know, to the group classes for 5 months, I mean, as well as I did in the first day, like, I don't think I'll ever really need, I mean, the privates. It could be nice.
Well, it can be it, but see the waffle of it, the waffle takes up mind space, or so if it's just it's just an absolute no. It's a no for a month. It's a no for 2 months. It's a no for 3 months. Whatever it is, it's a no. There is nothing lost in that self-expression. It's not scarcity. It's clear, defined boundaries.
Yeah. Cool.
And the play comes on top of that. So I see another hand coming up. Nicole.
Hi. I have a quick thing to ask and add about kind of pinging off of these two. So I went, there was Grateful Dead concerts down here. It's called Playing in the Sand, and it's their last year touring. So I was like, I'm going. I love John Mayer. Like, I'm gonna get in, kind of a thing. And the tickets went for sale like 4 months ago, something like that. And their base is like 2,500 just to get in. And I was like, okay, I don't have that like for this, it just, that's not going to happen. And I was like, but I'm open if the money comes in, figuring out whatever. And it didn't happen. But being down here, I was like, I'm just going to go and see if I can get in. Cause I've always been like, my motto is like, it's never sold out. And I usually can get into concerts or buy tickets that are last minute kind of a thing. So I went to 2 of the 3 shows that they had, got into the resort, but on the second one, so the first one I'd met a couple of different people that were staying at the resort, and I connected with one of them and he was like, hey, like, let's try and get you in next time, like, let us know when you're coming and we'll try and get you a bracelet because they're staying at the resort. And I was like, great. So I'm trying to like keep this short so I don't take up too much time with it, but I'm curious your thoughts on this. So I texted the group. The one guy texted me back and he's like, well, meet me at the room at 1555. And I was like, no, I'll just meet you guys down like at the entrance or like down in the main area. And then he kept trying to like get me to meet me at his room. And so we met down in the like main entrance area down by the beach. And he's like, so how would we do this? And I was like, well, I was thinking if you, this whole thing, like if you give me your bracelet, then you go get a new one and then we'll go in and just, it'll be fun. Long story short, he's like, well, I have to go change my shirt. So like, I'll give you the bracelet when we go up to my room or whatever. And he basically was like, so what are the chances of me getting you naked first?
Of course.
And I was just like, that's not happening. Yeah. I was just like, and he's like in his 40s or 50s firefighter from New Hampshire. Like I was shocked and disgusted. Just like, are you fucking kidding me? So when I said no, he was like, yeah, I don't feel comfortable giving you my bracelet because I don't know if I'll get another one kind of. So I was like, oh, so were you going to wait to tell me that until after I had sex with you? Like it was this whole thing. Yeah. And I ended up like, I said no, we walked out and then he was like, well, I'm going to go in and just find a place on the side of the fence where I can throw you my bracelet. And then he just like obviously disappeared because he was probably, he should have felt some kind of shame because it was really like I'm lucky it wasn't worse than that. I feel like it could have been like a really bad situation, but given it was like a really fancy resort, I think he was smart enough to know he would have like been arrested in Mexico for anyway. So long story short, like I still got to listen to the concert. I sat with the same people on like the edge of the entrance next to the pool at this resort and could hear everything. And it was great in that way. And the whole time, like after that experience, especially with that guy, like I was just like, I feel like I'm taking breadcrumbs just to get what I want. And that it felt like, Anara, what you were talking about in the last call, where you're like, well, if no one's going to give it to me, I'm going to make it happen. And I'm going to go do this thing. And I noticed, and you said that where like, it like really fully, oh, sorry, truck going by, it's really loud. But I noticed like, I do that. Like, I'm just like, well, if no one's going to like hand it to me, I'm going to go and get it. And I've done most of my life like that. And what came up for me in this concert and with that guy, it was like, it could have been like a really horrific experience. And I'm lucky that he didn't push more than just being creepy and saying like, oh, let's fuck first or whatever. With some of that, like, I don't know, but it's just more of this, like, had I not gone, I wouldn't have been at the concert. I wouldn't, so it's like playing with this, like, how do I actually manifest those, like, whether it's the ticket or having enough to go in and have that whole experience on a different timeline? Because I know at some point I'll be, given this is their last year touring, so maybe not with this band specifically, but like, yeah, I would just love your thoughts to hear more
but
about
maybe
like
with
what
this
comes
band
up
specifically. And I'll give you a related story of manifestation that was just insane. Alora knows how much I like Prince. I mean, I went to 30 gigs of his when nobody liked him. There were times I would go on my own. This was early days, and I was obsessed. And there was this time that I went to after shows, many after shows, and I experienced some of the happiest, most self-expressed moments in my life at these little tiny Prince gigs where he would be playing jazz and he would be like right there, you know, like, I mean, like right there, that far away. So I had this high point of passion, high point of the world was turned on. And then one night, I'm an avid fan, and it was like in the last few years before he died, I was in his fan network, and they had this website. I'm sure I've told you this before, but this is the story of the no, right? Don't ever do this again. I'm there late one night, and he had this fantastic website. I've never seen anything as amazing as it. And you would sort of fly in on a hummingbird. A flower would open. You'd land on a pedal, and whichever pedal you landed on, it would open into a video, and you would see, you know, private whatever gig space that wasn't available on whatever. It was like this. So I was obsessed. And this one night, I land on the guitar string or something, and it opens up and it says there are 2 tickets available to this Monte Carlo gig in Monte Carlo, like super fabulous, you know. And I go, ugh, like really cheap, 15 quid, you know, sort of front row seats. And I just have this paralytic experience, and I go, oh my God, like Monte Carlo. Oh, yeah, you know, it's all of this going on. But I calculate, actually go into massive detail, and I see what it costs to fly to Nice, and then how to get to Monte Carlo from Nice, and all of this stuff. And I think, and it's like in 2 days, right? So you have to make a choice. And I said, I can do this. Like, it's quite a lot of money, but not the actual gig. It's a one-off experience. How happy would I be? I'd be freaking flying to experience that. And then I said, I'll just wait till the morning because I just want to, you know, invite one of my friends. And of course, by the morning, it had gone. And no strings opening up. I can't see anything. That the opportunity has gone. And I'm left with this resounding bummer of like, oh my God, like this, what are you doing, woman? Like, this is the height of my self-expression, passion, happiness, and everything rolled into one. And I really know that. And so what I did was I took that horrible experience and I went into the whole feely energetics of it. And I said, well, if I am actually saying that my true happiness is at a Prince gig, though that can sound ludicrous, that is a fact for me. It was top notes, amazing experience, right? I then went, okay, I can actually, this is clarity, right? I get into this world of clarity. And I said to myself, I will never, ever, ever, ever wait for a friend to come in on the deal or not, because that is me. It's my expression, full expression. So I make this decision. And then 2 years after that, not long before he died, it's a wintry night. It was in February, early February. It was a grim night, and somebody was over at my place with every intention of going to a Landmark evening that night. They were going off to Landmark, and I was just sitting with them. We were doing some work or something, and then I just said, well, actually, somebody called, canceled on me. It was a client. I said, well, actually, I could drive you to Camden. So why don't I drive you to Camden? She goes, great. Yeah, sure. So we drive to Camden. On my Twitter, because I don't have an account anymore, this notification came up, which is usually the thread of these Prince fans saying, you know, do you know he's playing tonight? And I go, what? I see this thing. I'm like, you're kidding me. but I don't know where. I have no idea what's going on, but I'm en route already to Camden, which is an area of London. I'm driving this person. I don't really know what's going on with this, and I'm trying to find out more information, but we go for a bite to eat because I now don't have a client. That's dropped out. I go, great, let's have a bite to eat. But during the meal, I'm getting pinged more and more and more with all of this information. And I go, oh my God, I've got to just walk across the road because there's a gig place there. It's tiny, called Coco's. And I think he's playing there. I mean, it's like it's not announced. There's no evidence of it, nothing. And I say to this woman, do you mind? I know you've got Landmark tonight, but we're already kind of late because I'm faffing around, but I think Prince is playing in this really unknown place. So we go out, sure enough, there's a queue. The queue is not very long and it's freezing and I'm wearing not fabulous clothes. I'm wearing like Grungeville because I was at home. And I say to the box office, is Prince playing tonight? And they go, yeah, it's like a charity gig, which is all based on these, like some auction or something or other. I said, can you get any tickets? They said, absolutely not a chance. So then I stand in the queue with these people of about 20 people and I say, does anybody have a way of getting in? And they go, we can try different people, whatever. And they do all of that, but none of that works. And so the queue suddenly starts to move. The line starts to move. I'm with this woman and I'm going, okay, we're going to get in. I don't know how. There's three bouncers, 1, 2, 3. And there's these ticket people who are taking your tickets. So she goes, what are you going to say? And I said, I'm not going to say anything. I'm just literally I'm here. I'm going to, I know this is going to be one of the happiest moments of my entire life. I'm going to just be in this space. I don't know what I'm going to do. So I walk up and just at the very moment where, they asked to see the ticket, the woman turns her head. She kind of waves me on to the next guy. I go to the bouncer. He just waves me on to the next one. I go to the third one and he just goes, oh yeah, welcome type thing. And we both walked into this gig. I mean, it was insane. It was a tiny, tiny gig. Now, I have a feeling that the reason that happened was because of the deconstructing this previous experience where I sold my soul for a stupid reason, which was bringing a friend along. And that's not a stupid reason, but it's not who I am. It's my full expression is I will travel to the ends of the earth to see Prince on my own because it's my thing. And when I did that, it doesn't manifest then, but I mean, come on, you know what I mean? And when we walked in, it was like, I can't believe that happened. Like we're in this intimate, tiny gig with people who've won it and bid on an auction to see him. And that happened. So that's an experience of manifesting, which really aligns with some of the things that you were talking about. What you picked up and what you were able to do was you picked up you were at the gig. That was perfect. You went along, you listened to the music, you participated. There was something that you actually experienced there. That's what you're doing, aligning. It doesn't have to be the ultimate thing you've got all the time in the world, right? But the ingredients of it, the ingredients that turn you on to that level, take in as much, like you're inhaling that experience, like this was amazing. And of course, there's all the gratitude of that, right? But it comes from this combination of things. One is a big fat no. And I mean, I really spoke to myself about that. I will never do that to myself again. I will never sell out because I'm waiting on a friend who then was dithering, right? So I want to take you into a bit of an experience right now on Dark of the Moon where you can play with these energies. I also just want to pull a card for you as well, because Dark of the Moon is when we can clear out all the energetics before we move into this new year of the water rabbit, which is very successful, before the new moon, before we head into Aquarius. And so there is something very powerful happening today. Even if you guys see it on a replay, the energetics here, this conversation is really powerful because we are the condition of manifesting right here. And some of it, we need to dump some of the load of what we sell out on, of what we're vague about, this kind of thing. So let's pull a card for this dark moon. So I'm going to ask my guides to work with your guides. So shut your eyes for a minute and just take in this spaciousness of anything is possible. Anything is possible, and we have all the time in the world for that possibility. And so, Nicole, why don't you tell me when to, I'm just feeling the cards, just let me know when.
Go ahead now.
Okay, so I'm going to read this out. This card is called Scepter. So it's like an Egyptian card holding the scepter. So one image is you're holding the staff, and the other is that orb that they hold with king and queen kind of energy. So let me just have a look at what the message is for us. This will directly be related to manifesting. So this is a desire for a position of prominence. So if you recognize that part of that desire is your self-worth, right? In whatever field you're working in, you can be the best of it with no competition because you are so different than everybody else. This is Saturn-Venus combination, produces a keen ambition and a desire to attain a position of responsibility in life. Venus and Saturn are possessive planets and together are usually concerned with material gain and achievement. Conjoined in this sign of Virgo, they also indicate an element of perfectionism. If this card is drawn, you have a desire to rise above your station in life. You crave recognition and respect in a traditional sense, and you wish to be viewed as a pillar of society. This card reminds you that to achieve such a position, you generally have to employ a significant amount of good planning and forethought. And also I would add into that time. When people suddenly occur like they're super famous all of a sudden, instantly, you can be sure there's like 10 years behind that, right? Of the work, of the positioning, influencing. So, and behind the figure, a luminous full moon glows. So we're at the dark moon phase of this. We're the dark moon. By the time you work on the details of today, of manifesting, we're at foundation level. Really, in time, it would mean you're going up halfway through a cycle of a month, right? And if you could imagine, we're at the baby step here today. If that's the full moon and we're at the dark of the moon, this is the baby step of the first piece of recognition that you need to take on in manifesting is that you want to be in a position of prominence. Does that resonate? Now that to me would be like, what's the no in that? The no is, I don't want to be average. I don't want to be unknown. I don't want to be, a tiger has appeared. I'll just show you the tiger. Shiva tiger. The king of cats has walked in. if you can acknowledge your ambition as part of your manifesting power, if you can acknowledge that that has within it masses of self-worth, masses of it, because you're not saying, hey, I want to be an average Joe who does a whatever. It's no problem for all those people who want that, but I don't want to settle. And that was the piece that I was saying to you right at the beginning. The conditions of manifestation are not numbing out on settling. It's like really going for a very high position of power. And with that comes all the things that come with it, right? Some of it will be, oh, I'm being seen, I'm being judged, I'm being criticized, I'm being whatever. So take on your power. Like, this is power play, and you will get respect, and you'll always have people who love you. But better to be respected and say no to the things that numb out your self-worth than people pleasing, because that will get you nowhere. So now we can do a little experience to let go of some of the energies that you're holding on, that of fear that you won't make it, right? Alongside that card of I'm going to make it and I'm going to be the best is the opposite, which is, oh my God, I'm going to be bag lady or bag man under the bridge or whatever, you know, whatever version of that is. So shut your eyes. This will take, I said this would be a 90-minute masterclass, so it's about 20 minutes of this before we wrap up completely. So shut your eyes, allow your legs and hands to uncross. I'm going to just do a little technical, 1 minute. Start breathing really powerfully. When you breathe out like black smoke. So imagine yourself like a lazy dragon, inhaling all this energy in of the dark moon, the dark swirling depths. And we're here together. It's the perfect time to do anything to do with divination. So we've just done the cards. That's really deep meaning, that whomever sees this is actually quite ambitious. Take it on. You want to be a pillar of society. You want to stand out. Take it on. You want to be a queen. You want to be a king. Take it on. And take it on like even feeling what the journey is like to start, and knowing that we're right at the beginning of a cycle. Symbolically today we are in a clearing cycle. So this is where we clear out old energies. And take a deep breath in and exhale black smoke. And imagine that you are in a dark night landscape, in some of the most beautiful terrain that you love. So go to a place in nature that you absolutely love, but see it as a dark landscape. This is a dark moon night that you've landed in this beautiful place, and not everything is seeable. There's invisibility to it. You're surrounded by darkness, but you know the scene, you know this nature spot because it's one of your power spots. It's a beloved place in nature that you come back to again and again because you feel so aligned with it. And you also feel completely safe and completely wild. It's got an energy to it when there is no light, that you actually see all the stars. So dark moon, no moon, also means great heightened ability to see the stars in this place. And feeling your way into your nature scene, your feet are bare on the earth. And notice, what temperature is it in this night? Is it slightly fresher because it's got the coolness of the night? And what kind of earth or sand do your feet feel beneath your feet? What are you actually standing on? What is your earth? And your feet open. The pads of your feet have chakras in them. And as you experience this opening of an energy, you start to experience a buzz on the soles of your feet, just where you connect with the earth. And you feel this connection as you start to grow roots. This little buzz, and then the point of the root starts to swirl out and start to work its way deeper and deeper, spiraling into the dark earth. And you are standing in this beautiful nature scene, experiencing as you breathe in, you're taking in the dark moon energy. As you breathe out, the roots go deeper and deep into the earth. And you feel them spiraling down deep into Mother Earth, this beautiful connection with nature in the dark. And you feel the roots merging and moving with all the other roots that are underneath the earth. You feel this vast connection space as your roots go down there, and you realize that half a tree is above and half a tree is below. The root systems are vast and connected, and all these little corridors of connection and conversation that take place between energy forms, plant forms, are taking place in the earth itself. You're deep within the soil. And as you go through the different layers with your roots, you're able to pick up what is a more fertile soil and what is a less fertile soil. And your roots naturally are growing and moving towards the more fertile soil. You're able to feel that there are energies in this soil that are the conditions of great growth. And as you just continue to breathe and your roots flow down, they're seeking out the areas of the most potential, the most fertile, the most delicious, to finally rest the tips of themselves. They have, like antenna, the ability to know what is good for them. And you know what is good for you. As somebody who is a king or a queen and has ambition and wants to be seen, you are sending the roots down to the most fertile place that you instinctively know is good for you. But before you finally rest, you encounter a patch of land deep within the earth that you know instinctively is not good for you. It's a texture. It's got a scent to it that the roots can smell. It's got a feeling about it that just feels a little off. And the roots stop in this area for you to actually do the work of letting go of fear. So as your roots go into this area which feels not fertile, not good for you, not the right place for you to grow, you use the opportunity of experiencing what is an absolute fundamental no to your growth. You feel it instinctively as you're breathing up this energy from deep within the earth, deep up through the roots, And your roots are giving you all this information of why this is not the place to rest or to plant. The energy that moves up now through your root system up into the soles of your feet is giving you an indication of imbalance, something that is a little bit off. And we're going to use this as an opportunity to tweak. And so as a king or as a queen in full power, feel what it feels like to be in this beautiful, magnificent space with the stars above you, thinking about the things that you want to bring in. But the focus of the infertile soil is for you to experience what is not a fit for you. And those messages are going to flow up now through the roots, straight into your heart. As you breathe more and more of the infertile land, start to notice what your heart is receiving. Things that are not good for you. People who are not good for you. Ways of being that don't work for you. And as you receive the information, and it moves all the way, pouring up from this infertile land, you're receiving these images in your heart. And as each one comes, you use your left hand to simply move it to your heart, gather that energetic, and then flick it out into the space. So as each one comes up and you're clear about what is the infertile land you're occupying, it may be that you never want to say yes to a free place for a client again. So if that comes up through infertile land as a message for you, now grasp the energy from your heart. Imagine the queen gathering this energy and just throwing it out like an energetic, no, I'm not going to do that. Consider your diet. What are the things that are not working for you? And as the information comes up from infertile land, you breathe it up. You want to be really clear about it. What is a no? What is an absolute no in your diet? It may be one thing or a few. And then look at ways of being. What is a way of being that really doesn't work for you, that makes you feel scarce and frightened and small? How might you appear and how might you affect the energy of others when you project that out? And then just grab the energy and you breathe it out like black smoke. Allow yourself to observe what is an infertile land of ways of speaking to others. Are you sometimes sharp, moody, needy, aggressive? Be honest with yourself. What is an attitude that you are going to let go of and allow it to travel all the way up from the infertile land, all the way up through your legs, into your heart? Feel it arriving. Take hold of it with your left hand and blow it out. What are things that you tell yourself you want, but are actually not your ultimate fabulous expression this year? I gave you an example of clothes for me. the ability to always buy clothes is one thing, but it's different to say, I have enough now to express myself fully, and until that changes, I'm not seeking more clothes. Whatever version of that is for you. What are ways of being with clients that have got you into uncomfortable situations? Notice if you've been vague around boundaries. What could you now say no to? I'm not going to do that again. Firmly, I am not going to do that. I'm not going to sell out on myself. I'm not going to sell out on my self-worth. And again, just grasping the energy and throwing it out. Breathe out like black smoke. And anything else that comes up that you need to be a powerful no. And the question is, am I people pleasing or am I being powerful and direct? So choose where you are no longer going to be people pleasing. Take that energy up, gather it up, breathe it out. As you breathe deeper and know that you have let go of some deep, uncomfortable fears, you feel that your roots now can move forward into fertile land. And as they go through this barren area of earth that really is not an energetic fit for you, you send them forth with deep breathing to find the perfect fertile land. And it's as if the tips of them suddenly go from a dry, coarse, gravelly type of soil, suddenly they arrive in deep, moist, luscious soil. The feeling of it feels delicious. The temperature is perfect. You feel the soles of your feet lighting up with appreciation for the earth itself, and you feel the roots moving into this delicious soil where instinctively you know, I can grow. I can grow to the height of being in my influential position. And as they move into this and take root, they stop and they grow. Instead of moving down just as two little root ends, instead they start to spread sideways, gaining momentum, taking up space in this area which is fertile, delicious, supportive, powerful. And as you breathe up that energy of power, I am supported, I am looked after, I have all the time in the world to manifest. Now feel the energies that are going straight up into the heart are of a dreamy, delicious nature, of the things that you want to bring into your life in 2023. Allow it to move up like a wild expression of the desire. As it moves up through the soles of the feet and circulates upwards, that anything is possible. You feel it moving up through the legs and into the base chakra, where a bright red flame bursts into being, and you feel the warmth of redness all around the base chakra. You feel wealth, the flow of clients. I will always have enough. I always have enough time. I am safe. And then as it continues to move up into the sacral chakra, a bright orange flame bursts into being, and you feel the sexuality, the sensuality, and the creativity stirring in you. This feeling of I am turned on by life itself, breathing that energy all the way up. I am safe. I am abundant. I am in gratitude. I am creative. I am passionate. And think of all the passions that you can bring into this space, the gratitude for those moments where you've been able to fully express passion. Those moments where you have seen what a magical life we live. It may be in nature, it may be a Prince gig that you magically got into, it may be dancing, it may be feeling the flow of clients flowing towards you, the excitement of knowing you have an audience, and knowing that you've got all the time to express all your desires, and how elated and ecstatic you feel. And as that energy rises in this dark place under the stars, you run around like a wild thing, dancing your dance of pure self-worth. I'm the one. I am the one. I'm the one. I'm the one. And you feel yourself knowing it on a cellular level that you are the one who is speaking at the top of your niche, the full expression of your soul journey, of what you came here to do, of the support along the way, of the moments where you accidentally, not accidentally meet the perfect person to help you. And you feel yourself in this continuous spiraling dance of joy, and you ask freely for help from the universe, from source, from God, goddess. You ask for all the help so that you can fully express everything that you came here to do. This feeling of gratitude and passion and being turned on and creativity pouring out of you. And in this dance, there are 3 things you are going to state based on fertile soil, based on you can take your time, allowing yourself to make 3 wishes for this year, 3 manifestation wishes, like you're waving your wand and you're declaring, these things shall be so. So allow yourself to be very clear on what it is that you're asking for. And as the dance comes to a climax, and you have danced till you can no more, you allow yourself to flop on the earth, lie down spread-eagled, feeling completely taken care of by the earth beneath you, looking up at the canopy of stars above you. And as you watch, you see 3 burning stars, shooting stars, but they're bigger than that. They slowly sail across the horizon. And this is the symbol of, and it shall be so. And it shall be so. And it shall be so. And then allowing yourself to rub your hands together. Generate heat. Place your palms over your closed eyes. Inhale and exhale. And then you can rub your face, rub your jaw, back of the neck, front of the throat, heart, belly. And allow yourself to gently come back into the space. So, those are the conditions. It's a simple act of continuously bringing in, letting go of the fear, feeling it all, feeling it like a barren wasteland, not being afraid of that. Self-worth, no. And from there you can fly and you have all the time in the world. And some of that will shift you into manifesting like you have no idea how fast it can happen. Because you're no longer being driven or run by fear. So you just take it all in all the time. Does that, how do you feel after that? One is a thumbs up. One is a heart. And the continuous openness to full expression and passion and not being in your numb space will be like, it may not happen like with Prince. It didn't happen for that gig, but it did happen 2 years later. Like, as bizarre as that story was, exactly like that, because I'd already made the agreement 2 years before that I'm never doing that to myself again. I'm not doing this scarcity trip ever again on that particular thread. And voila. So I'll send you the recording for all of you who have not been able to be here. The recording will go out. You can see it. I'll put it up in Moonrights. And all of this work that we're doing, and I know you're part of the spring program anyway, but this is the nature of the level that we're going to be working on the spring program of 11 Queens, 11 Kings. It's really stepping you up into that level of a pillar of society, of an influencer, of being at the top of your game, and nothing will be the same again. You're starting to really operate at this level of power as king and queen, not as ordinary Joe who wants to be liked. Very, very different energy. Ordinary Joe who just wants to work and go home and watch TV. That's not your path. So I'm sending you so much love at this dark of the moon. Celebrate the new moon as it comes in with your desires, your new path, And if we should have released enough of the dark stuff today to lighten your load.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Do you have 5 minutes to
Yeah.
say? Okay, great.
Stay on.
Yeah.
Everybody else good?
Thank you. That was wonderful.
Pleasure.
Yeah, thanks, everybody.
Good to see you
Pleasure.
both.
Yeah. Happy New Year again still. I'll just turn off the recording. See you, darling. Mwah. Let me just end this.